have seen a mosasaur kill. In a film, maybe, a scaled monster bursting out of the water to snatch a shark from the air. Or in a documentary, the lunge, the bite, the body twisting to tear its prey apart. A sea-going crocodile the size of a bus. That is the story we have told for 200 years, and the method in that story is wrong. We know because of one fossil. In 1987, two scientists opened up a mosasaur that had been dead for 70 million years and found its last meals still inside it. A fish, a shark, a diving bird, a smaller mosasaur. One of them almost as wide as the predator's own skull. Swallowed whole. No crocodile can do that. So how did this one? The Tethys Codex opens on a question we thought we had answered. How did the mosasaur kill? For 200 years the answer was simple. It bit. It thrashed. It tore. Today we follow the evidence backward, from the teeth you can see, to the jaw that flexed, to a second set of teeth almost no one mentions. Along the way, the animal will break apart into a dozen different killers, each built for different prey, and the largest of them will turn out to have eaten less like a crocodile than like a snake. By the end, that swallowed bird will make sense. Before the Cretaceous, start with an animal alive today. Walk a riverbank in Indonesia, and you might cross a Komodo dragon. 3 meters of muscle and teeth, a forked tongue tasting the air. It is a monitor lizard, a hunting reptile that runs, swims, and kills along the water's edge. It is also the closest living echo of a mosasaur. Not a crocodile, a lizard. Hold on to that, because for most of the last 2 centuries, almost everyone pictured it the other way. The first mosasaur came out of a chalk quarry near Maastricht in 1764, long before anyone had heard the word dinosaur. A set of jaws longer than a person is tall. No one knew what it was. A crocodile, said some. A whale, said others. It took the anatomist Georges Cuvier around 1808 to settle it. The jaws belonged to a lizard, a sea-going lizard, larger than any alive. They named it Mosasaurus, the lizard of the Meuse, after the river beside the quarry. The first thing we ever got wrong about the mosasaur was the most basic thing of all. We had a giant lizard in our hands, and we called it a crocodile. By the end of the Cretaceous, around 70 million years ago, mosasaurs ruled the sea. The largest, Mosasaurus hoffmanni, reached roughly 12 meters, the length of a school bus. They were not dinosaurs. They were lizards that had traded legs for paddles and gone back to the water, and in a few million years they spread into every sea on Earth. And here is the hard part. A fossil gives you bone. It does not give you behavior. We have the jaws, the teeth, the skull. We do not have one frame of a mosasaur hunting. Everything we say about how it killed has to be rebuilt from what the bones will allow. This codex starts with the only weapons that fossilize, the teeth. There is a problem with the teeth. They do not tell one story, they tell several. Mosasaurus hoffmanni has thick conical teeth, faceted like a cut gem, built to grip and to puncture. Around 50 of them line the jaws, and behind each one a replacement was already growing, ready to take the place of any that snapped off in a struggle. Bite down, hold, do not let go. That fits the crocodile picture well enough, until you look at the cousins. In 2021, a team led by Nicholas Longrich described a new mosasaur from the phosphate beds of Morocco. They named it Xenodens, strange tooth. Its teeth were not cones. They were flat, triangular blades, packed edge to edge like the teeth of a saw or a shark. A single bite drew one continuous cutting edge across whatever it closed on. Nothing alive has a mouth quite like it. This was a mosasaur the size of a porpoise, built not to grip, but to slice, to shear pieces off prey too large to take whole. Saying every mosasaur killed the same way turns out to be like saying every shark hunts the same way. A nurse shark, a whale shark, and a great white share a body plan and almost nothing else. The mosasaurs were just as varied. Some gripped, some sliced, some, as we are about to see, crushed. There was never one way a mosasaur killed. The honest question was always sharper than that. Not how did the mosasaur kill, which mosasaur, and which prey, and with which set of teeth. Start with the crushers. In 1912, the paleontologist Charles Gilmore described a mosasaur he named Globidens, globe teeth. Its mouth was not lined with blades or cones. It was paved with smooth, rounded knobs like a tray of stone marbles. Useless for slicing. Built to crush, to clamp down on the armored shells of clams and ammonites and shatter them. A predator the size of a small boat, living on shellfish. Then the fish-eaters. Pleoplatycarpus carried a slighter, narrower skull, set with thin, hooked teeth, built to snatch fast, slippery prey out of open water and hold it. Less a battering weapon than a net made of teeth. Most retellings hand you the teeth and stop there. The trouble is, teeth fossilize and behavior does not. What we are really doing is reverse engineering a hunt from the cutlery it left behind. A knob implies crushing. A blade implies cutting. The hand that held them is 70 million years gone, and it never wrote anything down. Then the worst of them. In 2022, a team, Long Rich again, described Thalassotitan atrox from the same Moroccan beds. Its teeth were not built for shells or fish. They were worn and chipped from biting through bone. In the rock around it lay the part-digested remains of other marine reptiles, plesiosaurs, sharks, smaller mosasaurs. Thalassotitan hunted the hunters. It ate the things that ate everything else. And it points straight at the question all these teeth keep circling. Catching the prey is only half of a kill. The other half is getting it down. Here is the part most retellings skip. Open a mosasaur's mouth and look past the front teeth, up at the roof. There is a second set of teeth up there, 2 rows of them, rooted in the bones of the palate, pointing backward, toward the throat. They are called pretergoid teeth. Most of us never learn they exist, because they sit where you cannot see them, deep in the roof of the mouth, behind the smile. In snakes and many lizards alive today, the same palatal teeth do one job. They hold the prey, while the rest of the mouth lets go and resets its grip. The lower jaw does the rest. In Dale Russell's 1967 study of mosasaur skulls, the jaw is not one rigid bone. It carries a joint partway along each side, an intramandibular hinge. The jaw can bow outward, widening the mouth around something large instead of biting through it. Snakes have a version of this. Monitor lizards too. It is what lets a mouth open around a meal, not only clamp onto it. Put the two together and you have the mechanism. The front teeth catch the prey and stop it escaping. The jaw flexes wide. Then the pterygoid teeth on the roof of the mouth take over. Gripping, releasing, gripping again, walking the prey backward, deeper, toward the gullet. The 2 tooth rows in the roof of the mouth do the swallowing that throat muscles alone never could. It is not chewing, it is not tearing, it is ratcheting a whole meal down the throat, one bite of grip at a time. A mosasaur did not eat like a crocodile. It ate like a snake the size of a boat. Go back to that mosasaur from 1987, a Thalassotitan, opened with a whole zoo inside it. A fish, a shark, a diving bird, a smaller mosasaur. For a crocodile, that stomach makes no sense. A crocodile tears a carcass apart and bolts the loose chunks. For an animal that could flex its jaw wide and ratchet prey down on rows of throat teeth, it makes perfect sense. The bird went down whole, the rest followed it. A meal that size does not slide down a throat by accident. Something has to move it there, inch by inch, against the prey's own bulk. That stomach was not a crime scene, it was a receipt. Here is what we got wrong. Not that the mosasaur was a hunter. It plainly was, not its power, its simplicity. We kept it a single brute with a single trick. Grab, thrash, tear like a crocodile. The bones keep telling a stranger story. A whole family of specialists, shell crushers, fish snatchers, killers of other killers, and, in the largest of them, a jaw hinged in the middle and a second set of teeth set in the throat, swallowing prey a crocodile could never have managed. The menace was always real. The method was reptilian in a way no thrash and roll documentary ever caught. And the machine is still here, in miniature. Watch a monitor lizard work a meal down its throat, or a snake walk its jaws over an egg, and you are watching the same trick the Mosasaur ran at 12 meters. Cuvier was right in 1808. It was a lizard. We simply never followed the lizard far enough, past the teeth to the throat. 70 million years on, the chalk still holds a mosasaur with a stomach full of prey wider than its own skull. We finally know how it got there. For 200 years we drew a crocodile. The bones kept drawing a snake. The mosasaur ruled the late Cretaceous sea, the thing the fish feared, the apex of that warm, shallow water. Almost nothing hunted it. Almost. In 2026, a fossil pulled from the rock of British Columbia pointed at something else sharing that ocean. Not a lizard, not a shark, no shell, no armor, no teeth at all. Soft-bodied and close to 19 meters long. A cephalopod built on the scale of the mosasaur itself. It left almost nothing behind because soft bodies almost never fossilize. Which is exactly the problem. We know the mosasaur in detail because it left teeth and bone by the ton. The thing that may have shared the top of its ocean left a few impressions, a fragment, an argument. The largest predator in that sea may be the one we can barely prove was there. So here is the question the next entry opens on. What rules an ocean the mosasaurs already ruled? Tethys Codex.